Okay, so as the stench, the smell from the corpse intensifies, both Thompson and the narrator try uh, to get rid of this smell, and all their attempts were or went futile. Um the narrator suggested cigars, which failed, and Thompson suggests that they shove or move the box to the other end, which again turned out to be hazardous. Thompson fell on top of the cheese packages, and both burst out onto the platform, gasping for breath. That is where we stopped last. Again, they cannot stay outside for long because it is unendurable. The weather is unbearable, which drives them back to the compartment. So they continues this. Okay, to and fro, back and forth. They take turns at the broken window. Now the broken window is the only solace, and after this, the train stops or halts for a while. Then Thompson exits, and he returns with a container. Okay. Um, of carbolic acid. Carbolic acid is popularly known as a disinfectant. So he brings a carboy full of carbolic acid. He sprinkles it all over, even drenches the rifle box, the cheese and all. But this only intensifies the smell from the box. So that attempt also failed. Thompson is now completely disheartened. He has lost all his hopes. Okay. So, yes. So it was carbolic acid. He had a carboy of it. Okay. He sprinkled it all around everywhere. In fact, he drenched everything with it, a rifle box, the cheese, and all. Then we sat down feeling pretty hopeful, but it wasn't for long. You see, the two perfumes began to mix. The two scent began to mix. The scent from the carbolic acid and also from the cheese. And then, well, pretty soon we made a break for the door, the unbearable stench, and out there Thompson swabbed his face. Swab is to wipe with his bandana, his hanky or handkerchief, and said in a kind of disheartened way, in a dispirited, hopeless manner, "It ain't no use. We can't buck him again. He just utilizes everything we put up to modify him with, and gives it his own flavor and plays it back on us. See, this is not going to help us any longer. Better we stop this and endure the stench, or endure the smell." So, whatsoever we try to put off the smell, he uses it to modify him, and he adds his own new flavors and plays it back on the both of them. Why, Captain? Don't you know it's as much as 100 times worse? So now the smell is unbearable, 100 times worse in there now than it was when he first got going. So it has improved or increased, thickened. I never did see one of them warm up to his work so and take such a damnation interest in it. So whatsoever we try to bring down the smell, he uses it, flavors it up. He is so interested in making use of these things we bring to bring down the smell. So corpses are normally believed to be cold, but this one is so interested in the warmth and he uses it. "No, sir, I never did as long as I've been on the road, and I've carried a many one of them, as I was telling you. We went in again after we were frozen pretty stiff, but we couldn't stay in now. We just waltz back and forth." Waltz means quick steps. So kind of dance with quick steps. So they started moving back and forth, freezing and thawing. So as they go outside, they are all frozen, and when they get inside, thawing, melting, okay, defrosted, freezing and thawing and stifling by turns, suffocated, and they again go outside, get in, etc. So this continues. In about an hour, we stopped at another station, and as we left it, Thompson came in with a bag and said, so uh, the next station, Thompson brings a bizarre assortment of items, and he piles it on an iron sheet and ignites them. So he bought. Captain, I'm going to chance him once more, just this once. This is the last attempt. And if we don't fetch him this time, the thing for us to do is to just throw up the sponge and withdraw from the canvas. That's the way I put it up. And saying this, he brought a lot of chicken feathers, dried apples, leaf tobacco, rags, old shoes, sulfur, asafoetida, one thing or another, and he piled them all on top of an iron sheet and ignited them, set fire to them. And when they got well started, I couldn't see myself how even the cops could stand it. So the smell, the vapors, the smell was unbearable, and even the cops wouldn't have unbearable even for the cops to stand. All that went before was just simply poetry to that smell. So that was unbearable smell. When compared to the previous ones, it was just poetry. But mind you, the original smell stood up out of it just as sublime as ever. And amidst this different smells, one single smell stood out. That was the smell emanating from the cheese. The fact is, these other smells just seemed to give it a better hold, and my, how rich it was. I didn't make these reflections there. There wasn't time. Made them on the platform. There wasn't even a second to spare to think about the smell. Okay, so they both darted off to the platform. So he made these reflections on the platform. And breaking for the platform, Thompson got suffocated and fell. So breathless, and fell onto the platform. And before I got him dragged out, which I did by the collar, I was mightily near gone myself. So completely exhausted, suffocating. When we revived, Thompson said dejectedly, "We got to stay out here, Captain. We got to do it. There ain't no other way. The governor wants to travel alone." See, the governor. So he addresses the cops with naval titles, okay, military titles, civil and military titles. So commodore, etc. So he now calls him the governor. And as the stench improves, he gives higher title to the cops. So now it is the governor, and he has fixed so he can outvote us. So he is determined, and we are to accept defeat, outvote us. And presently he added, "And don't you know we are peasant? It's our last trip. See? This is our last trip. You can make up your mind to it, because sooner than later we are gonna die out of cold. Typhoid fever is what going to come of this. I feel it coming right now. Yes, sir, we are elected, just as sure you are born." So we are elected to suffer the typhoid fever. We were taken from the platform an hour later, frozen and insensible, at the next station. So, at the next station, they are removed from the platform, frozen and insensible, and the narrator succumbs to fever for the next 3 weeks. And I went straight off into a virulent fever, into a severe, okay, virulent, severe fever, and never knew anything again for 3 weeks. I found out then that I had spent that awful night with a harmless box of rifles and a lot of innocent cheese, but the news was too late to save me. So, narrator learns later that they shared, both Thompson and narrator shared the train car with only a harmless box of rifles and some innocent cheese, which he came to know only later. His health has been entirely undone by that time, and uh, imagination, so he says, imagination had done its work, and my health was permanently collapsed, shattered. Neither Bermuda nor any other land can ever bring it back to me. This is my last trip. I am on my way home to die. So that's it. Thank you.